What special rules does Tokyo Disney Resort have, and what can't you bring into Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea? I'm Jordan from 8-Bit Theme Park Japan, and I'm here to talk about some of the things you can't do at Tokyo Disney Resort. Some of these are the same as in other Disney parks around the world, but there are some that are unique to the Tokyo parks, so it's important to know if you're planning a visit. It still shocks me that Tokyo Disneyland is the only Disney park in the world that has a nighttime parade right now. And it's one of the best. The new daytime parade that they got for the 40th anniversary, Harmony in Color, is great fun too, as Tokyo get much larger parade floats than you might be used to in other Disney daytime parades. But there's one thing you can't do during parades, which might surprise you. You can't stand in certain areas while watching the parades. If you want to see the parades right from the front, for one, you'll have to get there pretty early, as Japanese park fans don't mess around when it comes to live entertainment. But also, you might want to bring a mat to sit on, as you won't be allowed to stand up during the parade. This rule actually works out pretty well because it means everyone gets to sit down and rest their legs while still getting a great view. And if you are behind a sitting area, you'll also get a great view because you'll see right over all the people sitting down. This can actually mean you end up with a better view standing behind a seated area than you would get paying extra for Disney Premier Access, which forces you to sit down whether your seat is near the front or further away. The next one may be a little surprising at first, but it actually works really well. There is nowhere in Tokyo Disneyland or Tokyo Disney Sea where you can smoke outdoors. This is quite common across Japan, where rather than having outdoor smoking areas, they're indoors. Which works great, because if you're a non-smoker, you don't have to worry about walking past any smoking areas, and if you do go in for a smoke, the areas themselves are so well ventilated that they're not at all as smoky as you might expect. The only problem with this, for the smokers, is that there are only 4 of these spaces at Tokyo Disneyland and just 2 at Disney Sea. At Disney Sea, it can take a while to get from point A to point B anyway, so you may not be able to smoke as often during your day as you might like to. But your lungs will probably thank you. Oh, by the way, the same thing applies to vaping, so don't go thinking you can vape your way out of this one. This next one used to be something that you'd encounter a lot, but it's not such a problem anymore. Right after you go through the park gates and you can see Cinderella Castle or Mount Prometheus calling you towards them, there used to be lots of cast members holding big signs saying, "Please walk," as everybody rushed over to the FastPass machines. But these days, that's all done in the app, so when most guests get through the gate, the first thing they do is stop and stare at their phone. But even though you don't see the signs so much anymore, the parks still ask that you refrain from running, as it can be dangerous, especially in crowded areas with young children. Still, if you do get excited and want to quickly get to the queue of your favorite ride, just remember the difference between a brisk walk and a run is that when walking, you always have at least 1 foot on the ground, so get your power walk on. If you're enjoying this video and you want to know more about Tokyo Disney Resort and other theme parks in Japan, please hit subscribe so you can see all future videos. Of course, every Disney park is designed to be a fun and safe place for children of all ages, but there are always some limitations for the younger guests. The classic example would be height restrictions on rides. There are actually lots of rides at Tokyo Disney which allow you to have children in your lap, which is generally any slow-moving ride vehicle or static attractions like 3D shows. But what if younger members of your group want to ride something all on their own? Well, if you're under 7 years old, you cannot ride attractions or view entertainment on your own. It's kind of funny that this suggests that a 6-year-old can walk around the parks on their own, but as soon as they see anything entertaining, they have to close their eyes and run away. But yeah, those under 7 must be accompanied by someone aged 16 or over. So the little ones can't ride stuff on their own. But one thing they can do that us stupid grown-ups can't is dress up in costumes. Under 12s can dress up in costumes as long as they're based on characters that appear in the parks or are from a Disney property. There is an exhaustive list of the different movies, TV shows, and even games that you can dress up as characters from. And Kingdom Hearts is on there, so surely by extension that means you can dress up as Cloud from Final Fantasy? I find it funny that on the website it asks you to please refrain from dressing up as the following: characters listed as ineligible, characters not listed, and Spider-Man. I have no idea why Spider-Man seems to be exempt from every other category, but one other thing it specifically says not to dress up as is food and merch from the parks, which just seems like a missed opportunity. Imagine a kid dressed up as a bowl of LGM mochi. It's quite well known that Disney don't allow adults to dress up in costumes at their parks around the world, as it could become dangerous if people assume that a guest actually works for the company. But things are a little bit different here at Tokyo Disney Resort. Here, those rules all go out the window at Halloween. And no, it's not a special ticketed event. Everyone who comes to the parks during September and October, do check specific event dates as they can vary, they can all dress up in a full costume. This gives the parks such an amazing atmosphere as some of the guests really go all out with their costumes. Some of them are insanely obscure characters too, which is so much fun to figure out who they are. This is still Tokyo Disney though, so there are a lot of rules, but they've been so kind as to provide illustrations demonstrating how sad you'll be if you make one of the mistakes. So, you shouldn't wear anything that's too tight or revealing. I don't know where you can find a skin-tight Stitch outfit, and I don't want to know. Nothing too long or wide. You can't wear things that cover your face, even though you are allowed to wear a face mask, which by definition covers a lot of your face, so that's a bit weird. No sticks, helmets, sports equipment, musical instruments, roller skates, skateboards, or any toys or props that resemble guns, swords, bows, grenades, bombs, fireworks, or pointy objects, the most dangerous of them all. This brings us on to things that you can't bring into the park. Of course, anything dangerous is a no-no. Drones and remote-controlled vehicles are not allowed. You can bring your own drinks, but no cans, glass, or alcohol. You can also bring in your own meals, but you should leave the park and sit in a picnic area if you're going to bring a whole meal. Suitcases and wheeled carts are also not allowed, and you can't bring any pets or any animals into the park other than guide dogs. Which is a real shame, as when I used to work at Europa Park in Germany, I'd love seeing so many dogs around the park, and they all loved it there too. They state that there are lockers at the entrance of both parks that you can store any of these prohibited items in, but please don't put your pets in a locker. Oh, there's one more thing that you're not allowed to bring, because some guests were getting super high quality video of some of the entertainment and then selling it online, which the parks did not like. Selfie sticks are banned here, just like they are in other parks, but there's also no unipods and no tripods, which makes getting great photos and videos a little more tricky. On the topic of video, another thing that you can do in the other Disney parks around the world, but not here, is live streaming. Which does make sense, but it's a little strange as you're allowed to film video. So like, I've been in the parks before filming myself, talking into the camera, and that's totally fine. But if I just happened to be live streaming while I was doing that, that would not be okay? But, you know, a lot of rules here in Japan are followed simply out of politeness and respect, rather than a kind of fear of getting caught or anything. So, if you're visiting, follow the rules and just try not to bother people around you and stick to photos and video recording. Another thing with regards to filming though, this next rule has actually been getting more relaxed recently, but still affects some rides, or rather, some queues and pre-shows. This is that in many pre-shows and indoor queues, there is no filming allowed. This rule is really confusing though, as they've recently started to allow it in some places, but not others. Filming Tower of Terror pre-show? Okay. Filming the stretching room in the Haunted Mansion? Not okay. Make it make sense. This next one is for when you're in the shops buying cute merch to remember your visit. Something very common when visiting countries from abroad is being able to buy things tax-free when showing your passport. Most shops around Tokyo and Japan are great for this, and it can save you a lot of money, but at Tokyo Disney, there is no tax-free option, so you'll have to pay full price. I'm guessing this is to streamline the shopping experience, as the shops at TDR already get very crowded. That's why it can be worth it to do your shopping at less busy times throughout the day, but when you do go shopping, you'll have to be careful of how many items you want to buy, as to prevent reselling, the park have a very strict limit on how many products you can buy. You're only allowed to buy 30 of a single item. But don't worry, I'm sure you could just go into a different shop and buy 30 more. Joking aside, they do sometimes set a limit of 3 items per customer for some very limited goods. It's normally the new Duffy and Friends merch, but for everything else, you can buy 30 of them. It's important to be aware of what you can't do at the parks here, but there's still a lot more you should know before you visit, so if you have a trip planned or just want to learn more about these unique Tokyo Disney parks and how they're different from other Disney parks, you should watch this video.